Hi everyone, so the mid-season patch is live, patch 1.4.3, the one that we've been waiting for. There were a lot of buffs in there. I've covered this in a separate video before the patch went live, and well, we had some interesting surprises here as well. There's some undocumented changes, there are some bugs, there's a lot of stuff broken, as always, and I want to go through that real quick. First things first though, I gotta say, I've been playing some TB, and man, Twisting Blades does feel pretty good yet again. So I'm not sure if this can be like the top build on the Rogue, but it definitely has some serious damage output. I was able to go as high as like 400 million dot ticks or so on this build, and that's on a hardcore Rogue, so we can definitely push that way further on softcore if you really want to. So I will have that covered in a video shortly, but I had a really good time so far with what I've been experimenting here. On top of this, I've also been playing the Pulverized build, so it's the second big winner of this patch. So I have tried both. I had a Pulverized Druid prepared, and we also were able to dish out some serious damage here. So I was able to hit for like 500 mil with Shockwave plus Pulve combined, and just kind of like two tapping like a boss here or something in a 90. So that's pretty cool. In general, it definitely looks like Pulverize is back on the menu for the Druids, so that's really nice. It fits somewhere in the range of the other Druid builds that are along the lines of Tornado, Lightning Storm, Hurricane. So those kind of builds, slightly behind Windcheer maybe. So overall, Druid got a nice little buff here, and Pulverize is definitely quite playable. So it was pretty fun here. So it's like a clip that someone made for my stream. I have not really been going that high with Pulverize just yet. I just tried it for a little bit with some Potato Druid that I made, and I will be covering this shortly as well. Now, one thing that's kind of important to note here is that the pit in general has also been nerfed quite significantly. We knew that this would be coming, but we didn't really know how much. So to talk about this a little bit, I guess we can say that most builds are going up somewhere in the range of like 10 to 15 tiers compared to what it was before the patch. Now, this might depend a little bit on where was your starting point. As far as I understand, it is a pretty significant change on the very low tiers, like up to 61. They wanted to nerf it the most. So it's very easy for anyone to hit tier 61 basically. And the higher you were, the less of an impact that change actually has. But they've generally lowered the tiers, or like the damage requirements for high tiers basically. And this makes M1 just go higher. Now, on top of this, I'm not sure if that was intended or not, but the Neve Iron income has actually been reduced. So this might just be a bug, I'm not sure. But after tier 100, people are reporting you don't get more than, you don't get one more per tier basically. So previously you start at tier 61, you get 20 Neve Iron, and then per tier you get one more. So for example, you get 40 at tier 81, you get 60 at tier 101, and up on that point it seems like everything is fine, but after tier 101 it seems like people are not getting one more per tier, but it's more like one more per 2 or 3 tiers or so. So this is what I've heard. I don't really have like a full data set or something like that, but it seems like that after tier 100 it's not really worth going higher, which is kind of weird, especially because at that point you already get a lot of Neve Iron anyway, and adding an extra 1 or 2 per tier wouldn't be that impactful anyway. So this might just be unintended. We'll see if there's going to be some updates, but for now I guess you kind of just like stay at hundreds unless you're like really powerful and you don't care, and you can go like another few tiers higher or so. But it seems like that's kind of like a pretty important efficiency breakpoint here. Now there's another funny development here that we have for the Rogues, which is that somehow Rapid Fire got actually really good. However, there is a bug with the repeating aspect. It's this one here. This is the original Rapid Fire aspect. Don't confuse this with the chance to cast twice or something like that. But apparently this aspect bugs out the skill to the point where you have now a chance to cast an arrow basically. So instead of actually shooting 5 arrows as normal or more with combo points, you get only 45% chance to get an arrow at all basically. So this looks like this. Is kind of hilarious. So I tried this out, people were reporting this bug here, and you see here I did literally a single arrow, for example, and then another time maybe get like 1 or 2 or maybe 5 even if you're lucky. So it's kind of like an RNG chance now to cast X many arrows, which is pretty hilarious. But this only happens if you have the repeating aspect in your setup. And this is not really an aspect that I really want to be using anyway these days. So if for whatever reason you had this, well, just remove it from the build until they fix it at least. And then you can still decide if you want to get it back or not. But usually the Scoundrel's Kiss is kind of the build now. and the Scoundrel's Kiss doesn't really have a great interaction with the repeating aspect, so you kind of don't want to use both of them together anyway. Now, that being said though, the new Rapid Fire change is actually really good. So Rapid Fire was already really powerful. We had it in S tier on the Max World healers, for example, and you can see it in action here now. This is the new Scoundrel's Kiss. It has a bigger radius now, and you can now hit enemies at close range. I actually tried standing right next to the target dummy, for example, and you see here all of the arrows are still hitting. So this makes it much more console friendly, and it's just like a significant buff to the setup in general. In fact, I want to go back to Rapid Fire and try the original cold Rapid Fire with cold points, but also a version that is similar to the Poison Barrage build that I've been talking about earlier in the season, where now you replace Stardust Skies with the Scoundrel's Kiss and basically play the same setup. In fact, I had someone in my chat that talked about this and has tried this, and it seems pretty good. So I think this is definitely something worth exploring. If you don't like combo points, you can basically take my Poison Barrage setup and then try it with a Scoundrel's Kiss instead. So that should be pretty good now, because you can actually stand in meta range, benefit from the Bursting Venoms pools, for example, and have lots of damage output. So stay tuned for a video on that. Now, I know a lot of people are also waiting and looking forward for the Andariel's Sorcerer. I made a video about this setup here, and I tried it out briefly. However, there is a problem with that as well, that Blizzard has bugged out the Andariels. So what you can see here right now is actually the setup in action. And it turns out that none of the changes made to the Andariel's Visage actually functions in the patch right now. So what happens is that you can see the explosions happen on the enemies when you hit them. So you can maybe see this here. There's like a poison pool, poison burst here. You see this here on this guy and this guy and this guy. So you can actually trigger these things. It looks like it's working. However, what's actually happening is that the Andariel's Visage still happens around your character, and it just shows that it's actually on the enemy. So this is like a fake animation that's playing here, which is kind of hilarious. And on top of this, just the tooltip value got increased, but the damage apparently was not. At least there's something that Xario told me. He has tested this before and after the patch, and despite the tooltip value showing a higher number, that also does not seem to actually be buffed at all. So if you have been playing Andariel's Rogue or whatever else with Andariel's, well, that was all placebo. Nothing is different compared to the before the patch. It's only like the new scaling and maybe whatever, like, you know, side buffs you've gotten basically if you were playing, for example, a Rogue or Druid or something like that. So some classes just got generally a bit better. But right now I'm kind of like putting this on hold here with the Sorg. I've been trying it out a little bit. It seemed kind of okay. Nothing crazy, but I also didn't expect anything crazy from the Sorg Andariel setup. So for now, it was working just fine, and I hope that I will be able to try this better once they actually fix Andariel's. It does more damage, and I can play it at range, which is kind of important for the setup that I had in mind here. On top of this, we also have a tweet here. So this is another change that happened here by Adam Fletcher. This was right after the patch went live. There was apparently also some bugs and crashes related to the Holy Bolt Elixir. So we have this here. So for now, Holy Bolt Elixir is just completely turned off. No one can use it. It's just like, yeah, it doesn't have any effect basically when you pop it, so you have to wait for a fix. But I guess the expectation is that generally with Holy Bolt, for like the crazy builds that they've used it, it is probably a bit of a nerf, especially the Necrominions. They will feel that because they had this bug where it was like double scaling and just kind of like one-shotting the entire screen whenever the minions got a last hit. And I guess for barbs it will also be noticeable, but barbs are generally just fine anyway, I guess, at the very least. They also have like some buffs to Whirlwind and Ethereal's Might and some interactions there that are really powerful, and they're definitely not going to be sad here. But for now, Holy Bolt is not working, and there's going to be some fixes that are coming as well. So there's a lot of work to be done here for Blizzard. Let's hope that they're going to patch, you know, some of these problematic things very soon, and I can make you guys updated what's going on. All in all, though, I have to say that I really enjoy this patch and the updates that Blizzard has been trying to make, at least. So let's hope they're going to fix all of this stuff. And in general, it seems like this has been a bit of a revival for the season. It was already going still really well, I gotta say, so at least judging from my own experience and my streams and so on, a lot of interest anyway. But now there is more stuff going on. People are hyped for Twisting Blades, people are hyped for the Polarize, so those are the two winners here in this patch, I guess. And let's see what else we can make. I still have a bunch of builds planned that I want to make, so for now I'll be playing those, and then whenever the patches come I will try the Sorg again and more stuff on the Rogue. I have a few things there that I want to try, as I mentioned. and let's see what happens. And eventually I'm also gonna go back to the Barb I still had this year that I have been working on with a bunch of different setups. So this is what I can share here for now for day 1 of the mid-season update. It was quite eventful, and there's more stuff coming, so stay tuned for those build guides and whatever else we discover. Hope you enjoyed the summary, and see you guys next time.